Hello class. In this video, I'll demonstrate camera animation. So I'll create a camera walkthrough animation, turntable animation, and we'll import character into your scene and we'll create a full animation with it. And also I'll introduce the play blast render. So you can test render your animation, see if it is good before you move on to final rendering. Okay, so let's get started. So here I'll just move on to a new scene and I'll reset everything. And so here's the scene model, city model that you'll find the download link in on the Blackboard. Okay. So the first step, if your model don't have texture, that's because Maya don't know where the texture file is. So you'll have to go to File and Set Project. Okay, see right now it goes to the default folder, so you'll have to go to the place where you saved your project. So this is the project folder, right? The CT project folder. I have all of the texture here. Okay, so select this folder, click on Set, and then hit 6 key. You should be able to see the texture. If it is still not showing up, you can just go to the scenes folder and double click to reload your scene, and it should show up. Okay, so now we have imported our the scene model, the city model. So next step is bring our character. Let's say if we're going to create character animation and we're going to composite the character animation with the background, and then we have to import our character here. So this is the character I'm going to use. Okay. But instead of drop it in directly, what I'll do is first I'll go to the source image folder, okay, and copy all the texture files, and then go to my city, the scene model, and go to the source image folder and just paste all the texture files at here. Okay, and then what you'll do is go back to your monster, the character, and just drag and drop in your character here. And then you should be able to see that your character will have the texture. Okay? And then that's the scale relationship. So I understand that when you started modeling, you never thought about scale. What is the real scale? So in the future, when you are creating a model for a game, for all of the different models you're going to create, you have to refer a standard scale. Okay, so you need to make sure the scale relationship of different object is united. So here, in case the character, the scale, and the city scale is not match, what I'll do is instead of scale down my character, I would scale up the city because my character is a fully ring, right? And if I scale it down, see if I select everything, scale it down, and it's going to be distorted because, again, the whole model is ringed, and the mesh has influences from the joints, and then the joints has influences from the controller, so that is problematic. So I always suggest, if this is just for animation in Maya, I would put all the models of the city in a folder by hit Command G on Mac. If you're on Windows, use Control G instead. So here we can name city whole group, right? And then I can just simply scale up the city model. When I put everything together in a folder, as you can see, the center point, the pivot point, is the center of the world. Okay, here's the grid. Okay, is the center of the world. So that means you can scale it up based on the center point, and then you can move it down and make sure your character and the city model has the right scale relationship. Maybe I need a bit more. Okay, should be close. All right, and then I would move it down a little bit and make sure the character is above the ground. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'll create 3 shots. The first shot, I'm going to create a camera walkthrough animation. So it all looks like one character is walking towards our monster character here. Okay. So the easiest way you can do is you can just create a camera and create a keyframe on the camera, right? You already done the character animation, so you know how to create a keyframe. However, here I want to do something a little bit more challenging. So I want the camera to move in a specific path. Looks like someone is walking along this path. So what I'll do it first, I'll go to the top view. Okay, and this is the front side of the monster character, so he's looking from this direction. So what I'll do is I'll have a camera to go like this path and walk towards our monster. So I will do create, and I'll create a curve, and I'll create a CV curve tool. And it's better to hit 4 keys so you can see the whole thing is transparent. Okay, and then we can click on the scene, and I can just create a nice curve. Okay, and then hit return key when you're done. So as you can see, I started from this point and then end at this point. So basically here, this is the end point of this curve. And then I'll switch it to perspective view. Okay, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit, so it's almost the character's height. And then I'm going to create a new camera, and camera aim and up. Okay, and don't move your camera when you just create it, because as you can see, if I move it, since by default when you create a camera group, you are not select the whole group, you are select the individual objects, right? So now if I select the whole group is still in the center point, right? So that's why I always, okay, Command Z, go back. So I always deselect first, and then go to Outliner and select this whole group and move it up and reposition it. Okay, as I said, if you want to create a camera movement animation, you can simply, for example, if I just rotate a 180 degree, so now it's aimed to my character. I can scale it up so you can see it better. Oops, actually, by default is aimed to my character. Okay, so you can create a keyframe at frame 1 by hit S key, so it stay on this position. At frame 40, move it front and hit S key again, so you'll create a camera movement animation, right? And then if I use a 4-point view, go to here panel perspective and camera 1. So this is from the camera 1's point of view, and select this window, and then down below here you can just preview, right? So this is a camera walkthrough animation, but as I said, I want it to move along this curve. Okay, so I'll select this whole group again and hold on Shift key, and then drag along this timeline to highlight all of the 2 keyframes, right click and delete. So I delete all of the keyframes. And then what I want to do is I will move this camera group, this whole group, to the start point, close to the start point, so I know where to start from. And I'm going to make sure to select this whole group. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and select this curve. So make sure to select the camera group first, and then select the curve. And then I will go to Animation tab, go to Constraint, and Motion Path. Attach to Motion Path. So go to the Option setting. So here I want to reset the setting because I've changed something here. Okay. So for the time range, here I selected the time slider by default. So here's the time slider. As you can see, it has a frame 1 to frame 120. That's the time slider. But the whole project has 200 frames. So if you select start and end, it's going to let the camera move from here to here from frame 1 to frame 200. If we select a time slider, you're going to move from frame 1 to frame 120 to here. Okay, so that's the difference. And here you can change the front axis. Okay, so as you can see, the x-axis is to this direction, right? The z is to this direction. So we want the camera to look to our character. So the front axis, I would choose z, and up axis is the y, because this is up, as you can see. This is a small point. And for everything below here, we can just keep as a default and then attach, and then see how it looks. So now my character, if I play, my camera will move along this path, right? But do you see the problem? See, if I getting closer, you can see that my camera aim to the opposite direction. It's supposed to aim to that direction so we can see the character, right? So what I'll do is I will Command Z, go back before I putting them together. Okay, so now I'll go back to constraint and motion path, attach the motion path here. Front axis is still Z axis, however I want to inverse the front axis, so now I inversed the direction you're going to aim to. So attach, now you can see that is aimed to that direction, right? And then I can go to the 2-point view and go to this view, press 6K to enable texture and play. And now you can see that my camera is moving along that curve and just looking forward, right? Okay. However, the issue is my camera is looking around, but I want the aim point to stay on the character. I want it still keep looking at the character, the monster character. It doesn't matter if this walkthrough animation, this camera is aimed to left or right, tilted to left or right, but it still need to focus on my monster character. So what I'll do is switch to perspective view, and that's use of the aim point. So we can select this aim point instead of putting it in the folder, right? This folder is following this path. So instead of put this aim point in the folder, what I'll do is I'll hold Shift K, and then hit PK to unparent it. Or you can just select this aim point and use your mouse middle button, click and bring it out. Here is it. Okay. And then we can move it to the position we want it to aim. So let's see if I want to aim it to, oops, where is it? Here, okay. So if I want to aim it to my character's face, and then I can just put it around the character face. The easier way to do that is, select this aim point and then hold on Shift and select this controller. Okay, and then hit PK, so we'll parent this endpoint to this face controller. In another word, I put this endpoint underneath this face controller. And if you go to outliner and hit F key, F to show where this endpoint is. See, now the endpoint is underneath the head controller. Head controller is underneath the neck controller, right? Spine controller and then spine 2. So that's the structure. So now basically the endpoint is underneath the head controller, okay? And then its position is relative to the position of the head controller. So that means if I zero out, its position, it'll be in the center of the head controller, the head object. Okay, so that is the simpler way to do that. Or if you're not good at this, I would just move it out by selecting it, hold down Shift and P to move it out, and then just manually position it on the face. That's the same thing. All right. So as I place it, and then if I go here and if I play, now you can see that it doesn't matter how my character tilted, it'll still aim. See, if I put my cursor here, it'll still aim to my character's face, right? That's the beauty of it. Okay. And then let's create another animation.